All right, people, for my last video here in assignment 1.2, we're going to go through the notes on adjectives and then just a bunch of random stuff that we saw throughout Latin 2 last year that we're going to see again here in Latin 3. And again, if you didn't watch the videos on nouns or on verbs above, I've included page numbers from our green Latin 3 book that you can reference if you think that'll help you throughout the reviewing process. So let's get started here on adjectives. There are 3 degrees of Latin adjective. That's just the term that's used. They're positive, comparative, and superlative. The positive degree is just the regular form of the adjective. It's just the word, what the word means. For example, notus means famous. Fortis means brave. Iratus means angry. It's just what the word means, the basic form. So the title for that is positive. But comparative and superlative degree we've seen a lot, especially throughout Latin 2 last year. A comparative degree has IOR, and it's translated ER or more. So, for example, notior has IOR as the ending, that's nominative, or with an ending on it, there's still an IOR in the middle, it means more famous. Fortior, for example, means braver. Iratiori means angrier. So IOR is ER or more. Don't forget that the word quam with an IOR or a comparative means than. The superlative degree has ism or arim and is translated est, most or very. For example, whereas notus above was just famous, notissimus is very famous or the most famous. With my other examples, fortissimi, for example, fortis was brave, fortissimi is very brave or the bravest, same thing. Iratus was just angry, iratissimo is very angry or the angriest. And again, remember with quam and then a superlative, quam will be as ... as possible, like quam celerime, there's an ERRIM example, means as quickly as possible. And speaking of quams, here's a bunch of short QU things to start the slide, and then we end with just some random stuff from the end of the year last year, stage 19. Remember that attaching que to the end of a group of Latin nouns means and, like salvius, bregansque means salvius and bregans, for example. Puri et puelli, you could also say that same thing as puri, puellique. Either way, it means the boys and the girls. Remember that short QU words like qui and quos and quorum just generally mean who or which. But we have a couple of QU words that don't fall under that all the time, like quam. I already reviewed that with the superlative, quam is as ... as possible. For example, quam celerime means as quickly as possible. With an IOR, like a comparative that we saw in the previous slide, quam means than. Fortior quam means braver than. Quam can also mean which or whom, all right, which would be just like one of these short QU words. If there's a feminine and singular word in the sentence that quam can refer to, it could be which or whom. And at the end, or I should say at the beginning here, how, if there's an exclamation point at the end of the sentence, quam is going to mean how. Another QU word that sometimes breaks away from this who or which sense is quod. It can mean which, but it can also mean because. In fact, in Latin 1, we learned because before we learned which in Latin 2. Remember, the only situation in which quod can mean which is with a neuter noun. So plaustrum quod, the wagon which. All right, you can't say like villa quod is the house is feminine in Latin, so you wouldn't be able to use that. So it can mean which, but it could also mean because, depending on the context. Don't forget about our question words, num and none. None means surely, num means surely not. Don't forget, though, that with those, you could also kind of reword the sentence. None, again, you're expecting the answer to be yes. All right, so you could say something like, surely you did your homework. You're expecting the person to say yes, but you could also say, you did your homework, didn't you? All right, is the example I always give in English. So whichever one you want to use, surely or that sort of rearranged word order in English is fine with me. Same thing with num, all right? Surely you didn't do your homework. You're assuming that the person did not. You could also say, you didn't do your homework, did you? In either case, you're expecting the answer to be no. So none is expecting a yes answer, num is expecting a no answer, or you could just do it straight up, right? None means surely, num means surely not. Noli and nolite equals don't, all right? So whenever you see noli and nolite, just immediately translate them don't. And the difference between them is noli is to one person, nolite is to more than one person. So if I say noli ambulare, all right, it's don't walk to one person. If I say nolite audire, you're telling more than one person, don't listen. All right, so noli and nolite mean don't. Noli is to one person, nolite is to more than one. Remember, adding that te at the end is just like salve and salvete. Salve is to one person, salvete is to more than one. Same thing with noli and nolite. Don't to one person and more than one person. And finally, my big, very simple topic at the end of last year, short H words and short ILL words. This keeps things really simple. Could get a little bit more complex with it. I'm just going straight up. Short H words mean this or these. Short ILL words mean that or those. And that really doesn't review everything, but it reviews what I think is functionally most important. And we're ready to wrap up stage 19 and jump into stage 20, where we would have begun in Latin 3 anyway. So we're not too far behind the pace, mostly because you did such good work in the spring. So I'm looking forward to moving along at that pace.